Hey guys, welcome back to another day of Mishmish. We are going to be doing a full face of CHANTECAILLE today. I have some of their new products from their holiday collection. I have the two new powders that they came out with. One is a face powder and one is like a highlight. So we'll be talking about those and using those. And unfortunately, I got one of the lip crystals finally delivered to me. It was on back order for a very, very long time. And that's why it's taken me so long to get this video up. I figured I'd wait for the lipsticks to come in and I could talk about all of the pieces in this holiday collection together. But the lipsticks came in much later than the powders. I finally got this one and it's a little bit dinged up, so I'm going to be returning this. And I ordered it from Neiman Marcus and they do not take returns on any used makeup. So I'll show this to you, but I'm not going to use it because I do want to return it to them. But I do have the two new powders. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to use the Future Skin gel foundation in the color Vanilla. And this comes in a jar, which is definitely not my favorite form of packaging, but this is a wonderful foundation. The first thing you notice is how cool it feels when it goes on because of that gel base. And it's just so lovely. And CHANTECAILLE touts this foundation as one that has like a medium to full coverage. For me, I actually find it to be very light coverage. I find this actually to have lighter coverage than the Just Skin tinted moisturizer that they have. I don't know, I just feel like that one has like more of a coverage. So I've got my Sonia G Base 1 brush here and I'm just going to work this in. I like applying this foundation either with a brush or just with my fingers. I don't actually like using a sponge with this one. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, you could definitely use one, but I just find that you end up using a lot more of the foundation when you use a sponge. I'm going to add a little bit more. And the coverage for this foundation is definitely buildable, but I don't know, I just don't find it to be full. I mean, you guys can still see like my major sunspots there. You can see kind of like the rosiness in my cheeks. It's still peeking through. I don't know. And I've tried building up this foundation. It just never really gets past like a medium for me. Okay, next up I've got my CHANTECAILLE Le Camouflage Stilo. I love this concealer. I don't know why I don't use it more often. I mean, I have a lot of concealers to choose from, but this one is a very good one and I really need to pull this out more often. It has like a really decent coverage. It's not super high, but it's definitely more than just like a highlighting pen. It's more than the YSL. It's a bit more than the Sicily Stilo Lumiere pen that I use all the time. Definitely has a little bit more coverage than that. But it has such a great texture. It's not too creamy. It's not too stiff in any way. It's not too thick. It's really, really nice. And the shade that I have, I believe is number 2. It is not printed on here, I don't think. But I think I do have shade number 2. So it has decent coverage. It brightens a little bit. This number 2 shade for me works really well in that regard. And that's it. It's lovely. It doesn't crease. It doesn't age my eyes. It doesn't dry my under eyes out at all. This is just a really, really good concealer. I think I'm going to throw this into the rotation of the Sicily one since I've been trying to finish that one up. I'm going to kind of go between the two of these because that one's just taking forever. All right, and now let's go ahead and take a look at one of these new powders that CHANTECAILLE has come out for holiday. So this is called the face powder. That's it. And they describe this as like a powder balm. And when I saw that description, I was reminded of I believe this was last year's holiday release, the Le Pearl, what was this called? The Moonlit Pearl Glow powder. But this one they also described to have like a powder balm consistency. And I remember getting this and thinking, gosh, like this powder just feels so soft, but it didn't have like a silicone feeling to it necessarily. It just felt really, really like velvety soft, but creamy all at the same time. So this year's powder has a very similar feel to this Moonlit Pearl one, but there is a slight like tint difference. So the Moonlit Pearl is more like pinky peachy, and this year's is a little bit more like peachy yellow versus peachy pinky. What? And just upon touch, like I can't really see that much of a difference on the skin. I actually kind of put one on one cheek and one on the other. I don't see that much of a difference on the skin. Like I don't think it's noticeable, at least on my skin tone. I don't think the difference in tone is noticeable. The only difference actually that I notice is when I do finger swatch, this year's powder, it just feels a little bit harder pressed in here. Like this one feels really, really soft. What I completely forgot to mention is I did also get the Buff and Blur brush from Chantecaille, and this is the new brush that they've come out with these powders, and you can use it with both of the powders if you want. I use something different for the highlighter, but I have been testing this with this powder and it's quite nice. It's very different for me. I usually use loose powder to set my makeup, and I'll just kind of like press it into the skin and kind of brush away any excess. But this brush kind of forces you to, press the powder in, but then buff it instead of just kind of sweeping it away. Of course, you can use it in a sweeping motion, but I really like kind of buffing the powder in, especially because this is like a powder balm formula. It does work really, really well together. So let me go ahead and just demonstrate that for you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just press the brush in here. Picks up product fairly quickly. And you can see there's like a little bit of kick up in there, but not much. And I'm just gonna start pressing. And I like pressing powder in, especially when I'm applying it over like liquid cream products, because I don't want it to move anything underneath. So I'm just pressing that in, and I'm just going to apply it to this half of my face so you guys can kind of see the difference. So I think it's subtle, but I think you guys can see that it's added just a little bit of coverage there. There's definitely like a translucency there, but I think also it will add a little bit of coverage to your skin. So I will say that I don't think that this is like medium to deep skin tone friendly. I'm gonna err on the side of saying that this is for like fair to light medium skin tones. I'm gonna add a little bit more onto the brush, and I'm gonna use that to buff. Oh, and I forgot to mention, these are synthetic hairs, by the way. So there is the powder applied to that side. I think it does a nice job, but what I will say is that I do think it looks better when I apply it with my Sonia G Face One brush. You guys know this is my favorite buffing brush of all time, but this is natural hair. So if you prefer synthetic hairs, I do think that this is a nice substitute. But if I had to choose between these two, I would definitely go with the Sonia G. So I'm gonna go ahead and just demonstrate the other side. I'm gonna press. Okay, so there it is, not buffed in. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add a little bit more to the brush and buff it in. So there it is, applied with the Sonia G brush. I just feel like this side of my face has a little bit more of a pearly sheen. I just think it brings out the qualities of this powder just a little bit better than this brush. This brush is fine. I think it does a really nice job applying it, but I feel like there's like a very kind of like subtle glow to this side that I don't necessarily see on this side. This side, it just looks a little bit shiny in places, but this side, it really looks like it was like buffed properly. So I did just want to show you the difference between those two brushes. Again, I feel like this is a fine brush, but I prefer the Sonia G brush. All right, as for the powder, I think it is quite lovely. I am not someone that generally likes setting powder with any sort of like glisten to it. Like I mentioned, I really like the powder to just set my makeup down, and I really like something that, is kind of matte but not necessarily drying looking, and if it has like just a little bit of a sheen, that's fine, but I don't want it to be very noticeable. I do think it is really lovely, and I do think it has like a nice like blurred effect. I will say I do think it looks a little bit more blurred on this side than this side, but there is kind of like a nice like general kind of like fuzzy filter over my face. And before we move on, I didn't even talk about the packaging, but this is so beautiful. Look at those gold flecks in there, and then it has like gold tone trim, and it does come in this little satin bag, and then this is the box, which is really just so beautiful too. So that is the face powder, and why don't we go ahead and move on to some bronzer and blush before we hit the highlighter. All right, as for bronzer, I'm gonna use the HD Perfecting Bronze. This is part of their regular line. You guys know how much I love their I think it's called Real Bronze. It comes in the red packaging. It was limited edition over this past summer. Love those. I love both of the shades, the Serena, the Goa, both of them are beautiful. But this one is just a little bit more like subtle and neutral. It's definitely not as deep as the Goa for sure. And then this is like just a more typical pressed powder versus those baked formulas. So I thought I would pull this one out because I really enjoy this one, but I don't show it a lot of love because there's all these beautiful limited edition ones that Chantecaille comes out with. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna use it today. I've got my Sonia G Face Pro brush. It says angled fluffy brush. Pick up a bit. Really beautiful, very subtle kind of contour bronze, nothing too dramatic, which is, you know, great for the everyday. So that's the HD Perfecting Powder in Bronze. Let's go ahead and move on to blush. So I pulled out 3. I think I have more blushes elsewhere, but I have this B one. This is Emotion, and I just can't bring myself to use it because that golden bee on there is what dreams are made of. So I don't know if I have the heart to do with that today, but I do have 2 other ones. So this one is Grace. This is the one with the turtle on it, and I just worked myself right through the overspray. This one's like a nice kind of like neutral tone. And then I have Joy, which is the horse, and this one is a little bit more pink. So because this highlight is a little bit more on the gold side, I'm going to use Grace, which is a little bit more neutral. And I'm going to use my Chikuhodo GSN4 brush. Just lightly kind of tap it on there. All right, there is Grace applied to the cheeks. I really like these blushes. They're definitely on the more matte side for what I generally like, but I just love how they blend and like the airbrushed quality it gives. They're just really, really lovely. All right, and now for the highlight. So let me show you the packaging before I jump in. So it comes in a pouch as well, but it's a gold toned one. And then here is the box. So similar box, but again, gold toned. And then same for the packaging. Same square compact, but it has the gold tone with the gold flecks over it, and then the gold toned metal trim. And then here is the powder on the inside. So this powder is definitely more like of a baked formula, and you can see that it has like a really nice rich gold tone to it. So let me go ahead and just give you a swatch of this before we put it on my face. So there it is on my finger, so beautiful. And there it is swatched. Isn't that just so stunning? It's what I think you guys have said in the comments. It's like a grown-up highlighter. It's not too crazy. It's like just enough to give your look a little something. All right, I'm gonna take my Sonia G mini cheek brush, probably pick up too much product, and then just brush that on. Ooh. Wow, look at that shine. That is so pretty. So, so pretty. I just have to run some down my nose. Really pretty. So in my head, I'm already kind of comparing it to the new Chanel Duo de Camellias highlight, which I happen to have sitting right here. And I think this one is a little bit more like creamy looking. Let me just swatch them next to one another. Like the Chanel one definitely has a little bit more of an iciness to it. So there's the Chanel. I just mixed the 2 together. Okay, I'm gonna just put the Chanel one right there. So there's the Chanel, and so you can see how much like icier and frosty it is. And then this is the Chantecaille, which is a bit warmer in tone. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but I feel like this one just looks a little bit creamier. This one just looks a little bit more powdery. And then, you know what? I think I want to try using this like the glowy and showy blushes that Scott Barnes has in his blush palette. He kind of used it to like amp up the blush a little bit, and he kind of used it to like cup the cheek, the apple of the cheek and everything. I think I'm going to try that. I'm going to use the Chantecaille brush. I'm going to go into this highlighter palette, and I'm just going to just kind of sweep it around. I mean, more highlight never really hurt, did it? So, so pretty. I love this highlighter. It is really, really lovely. I do not have any Chantecaille eyebrows. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera and I'll be right back. All right, I've got my Chantecaille luminescent eye shades. I love these, and you know, I've been testing out so many different eyeshadows or whatever, and I just haven't used these in a while, so I'm so excited to pull these back out. I do have an idea of what I want to use. I think I wanted to lay down Cheetah. Yes, I want to lay down Cheetah, which is just a beautiful, beautiful, like creamy, vanilla, beigey, champagne shade. I'm going to use my Chikoto GSN, which number is this? 7 brush. It's like a giant eye brush. It's actually great for setting under eye concealer, but I want to use this brush because I want to lay down like a nice layer of this, this Cheetah color. So pretty. It just makes your lid look like shiny and wet and just, ready to party. So I want to keep this eye look fairly neutral. So I'm going to use Elephant, which is this beautiful taupey shade. And I've got my Esom W23 brush, and I'm just going to apply some just to the outer edge of my eye here. And then I'm bringing it through my socket line. And that is it. A 2-color eye look. So, so simple. I love it because they are so luminescent. I think you don't need much. You really just want these eyeshadows to kind of speak for themselves. And oh, they're so beautiful. So, so beautiful. All right. And since this is Mishmish, I'm going to go ahead actually and use the La Pearl Metallic Liquid Eyeliner from Chantecaille in the color Vert, which is a beautiful like foresty green. It's so pretty. I hope you guys will be able to see it through the camera. But this is one of those like brush tip eyeliners with like a well. And I'm not going to do any kind of crazy wing. I'm just going to drag this over my lash line here. There it is. I really hope you guys can see like the little metallic bits in there. It's so much fun. So, so much fun. All right, so that is eyeliner. All right, so I'm gonna finish up my eyes off camera and then I'll be back to do lips. And then last but not least, I've got a Chantecaille lip veil here in the color, I think it's Tamboti. Someone actually on a live stream, they're like, oh my God, I got the Tamboti, I think. I got the Tamboti, thank you so much, I love it or whatever. And I was like, Tamboti. Like I just couldn't think of what she was referring to, and it's because Chantecaille was kind enough in sending this to me when they sent me their luminescent eye shades, and because this is like a press sample, there's no name on here, so I don't think the name of this ever really resonated with me. So anyway, that's why I couldn't remember the name of this, but this is one of the lip veils, which is probably one of my all-time favorite lip formulas, and this color is like the perfect nude. So I'm gonna put this on today. Just like the most perfect nude ever. And this formula, it's so, so good. So that is the lip veil in Tamboti. So before I let you go, I did just want to show you the lip crystal that does come with this holiday collection that I'm not going to be swatching or, you know, lip swatching or anything for you because I'm going to be returning this to Neiman Marcus. So my lipstick came dented. I don't know why, like the box was perfectly fine. It came, like the box it came in looked perfectly fine, but this is dented. I don't know how that happened. And then here is the lipstick, which is so beautiful. It looks like a ruby slipper. The color of this is Rubellite, R-U-B-E-L-L-I-T-E. And it's like scraped down there. And it came that way. I didn't touch it, unused, everything. So I just want to return this to them. I also feel like this color, I love it, as beautiful as it is. I'm just not going to wear it that often. I thought it was a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to go ahead and return this. There's also like a weird mark over here. I don't know if you guys don't know if you guys can see it, but it just doesn't look like fresh and brand new. So I'm gonna return it. And the packaging, it does also feel a little bit light, like even compared to this lip veil, which is part of their regular line. For like their special holiday collection, this one feels like a little bit light. It's still magnetized, but it's just a little bit lighter in weight. So I just wanted to show you guys that, and also, you know, show you why I'm not going to be swatching it and why I'm going to be returning it. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions down below in the comment section, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video.